Hey everybody, and welcome back to The Shining. The incense is burning, and that means we're going to talk about scary movies. We're going to talk about a really special scary movie, and this is one of my personal favorite scary movies, but also quite possibly one of the most underrated horror movies of all time. 2007's Dead Silence by director James Wan. This movie is awesome.
Dead Silence.
Like always, don't forget to like and subscribe. I appreciate everything that y'all have done as far as just like being there and viewing these videos. So thank you for everything. And now we can start talking about one of the most underrated horror movies, in my opinion, 2007's Dead Silence. If you haven't seen this movie, first off, I'm just going to tell you now, you need to watch it. It is a really fun horror film. Didn't need a sequel. It's just the one that I'm aware of. If there is a sequel that I don't know about, let me know. So if you haven't seen this movie, let me give you a quick summary of what's going on. It starts off with a married couple, Jamie and Lisa. And, you know, they're all nice and sweet and, you know, feelings and such. It's, you know, whatever. And he has to go get some takeout food. Right before he goes to get the takeout food and all this, someone leaves a puppet at their door. And this puppet's name is Billy. And he's creepy and they're making fun of it and whatever. And he goes to get the food. And then Billy kills Lisa in a very gruesome way. He rips out her tongue. Jamie comes back. Boom, there's Lisa with her tongue ripped out. There's Billy the puppet. Of course, they're like, by them I mean the investigators and Detective Lipton, played by Donnie Wahlberg, which was really random. So they're like, Jamie, you look suspicious, and of course, you know, there's that. You know he didn't do it though. And so he looks inside of the box that Billy came in, and it says the name Mary Shaw, which just so happens to be an urban legend from his town of Ravenfair. So he goes to Ravenfair to do some investigating. Of course, Detective Lipton is going to follow him there, so you can go ahead and expect them to reunite sooner rather than later. Jamie goes to Ravenfair. He goes to visit his dad. They obviously do not get along. His dad looks deathly ill, and he has a super hot wife, which is super gross. Jamie, of course, that conversation doesn't go well, so Jamie leaves. He's just trying to figure out what in the world happened to his wife. Why is this Mary Shaw thing, you know, happening to him? What does it have to do with him? Mary Shaw was a ventriloquist. She had a lot of creepy dolls. And she was very popular in the town. And then one day, this little boy named Michael decided to call her out and say that he could see her lips moving. Of course, we get a really creepy scene out of that. And then Michael goes missing. So the town blames Mary Shaw. They lynch her. They make her scream. They rip out her tongue, turn her into a dummy, and bury her with her 101 dolls. Yeah, it's a lot. So then Mr. Donnie Wahlberg, Detective Lipton, and Jamie are investigating together at this point, and they find the underground lair, or not underground lair, whatever you want to call it, and they find all the dummies. Well, one of them is missing, and it's Billy. Ta-da. Here's the thing though, if you scream, Mary Shaw will rip your tongue out, but if you don't scream, she'll leave you alone. So there's a lot of tongue ripping, okay? It's gross. But it's cool, and I thought it was a super unique twist. I don't know, you have Michael Myers, he just pins people to a wall with a knife. Well, Mary Shaw will just rip your tongue out. Now, Mary Shaw, the urban legend of Mary Shaw, is a folktale, but it was not heavily focused on or anything. It was just like a small folktale, and I guess James Wan had heard of it and just decided to roll with it. So I thought it was a really cool story. I'm not going to give you the ending, the very, very last part, because if you haven't watched this movie, I really want you to watch it. However, if you have watched this movie, you know what I'm talking about, and it's quite possibly one of the coolest endings to a horror movie, at least in my opinion. Anyway, back to the plot real quick. The reason that Mary Shaw and Jamie are connected is because it just so happens that Michael, the little boy that went missing, it was Jamie's great uncle. That kind of ties that part together, so you can kind of understand why Mary Shaw is, it's like a family curse type of deal. Things get really crazy after that, and that's the part I don't want to spoil for you. But there are some other parts about this movie that I do want to talk about. The atmosphere of this movie is super effective. James Wan is probably one of my favorite horror directors. And I think overall he is definitely one of the greatest horror directors of all time. The way he uses scores especially. For example, like in Insidious, if you notice, it's a lot of heavy like violins and stuff. When he needs to emphasize that real creepy grit. And he does the same thing in this film. The score is fantastic. Everything has that bluish tint to it, which just makes everything so much more ominous to begin with. There's really nothing you can say negative about this movie. I mean, even for a film that came out in 2007, it's not cheesy. Fact of the matter is, let's be honest, we've all been to a Goodwill or a thrift store and seen one of those creepy porcelain dolls and puppets. Look, dolls are scary. Like those porcelain dolls, they're terrifying. And puppets are also terrifying. It is super easy for him to just, boom, okay, I see people are scared of puppets. Let's emphasize on that. Super simple story, but it was super effective. My little brother, for example, would not even watch that movie. I think he's watched it now and he enjoys it a lot. But he wouldn't watch it for the longest time because the cover just scared him so bad. And we would take him into Blockbuster. Let's have a moment of silence for them. Okay. Every time we'd go to Blockbuster, we'd take him right past it. He'd turn, see it, instantly start crying. That movie definitely became kind of a joke in this house. And then I actually sat down and watched it and I was like, okay, you ain't playing. This movie has given me an irrational fear of puppets. So there's that. I don't know what else to say about this movie to get you to watch it. If you haven't watched it, please do. Tell me about it. Tell me in the comments if you've watched it. Tell me what you think about it. Just please talk to me. I'm lonely. Don't forget, y'all keep watching scary movies. I'll keep talking about them. Thank you for watching and keep it creepy.